My patch is about my grandma.
It was made at her home. Whenever she could find time, she would do that.
Well, the whole thing was a symbol of what we thought about my husband and their dad.
This morning is when Kathleen and I started to assemble the quilt, which is 110 patches. Starting the patchwork quilt was definitely about finding a way to collect people's experience and stories of COVID, which I think for all of us is like a very, very strange and life-changing period. Using Instagram as a platform for the quilt has given us an opportunity to form a new community of textile enthusiasts.
The quilt was designed as a project to bring people together at a time when they had to be apart. It was something that we could use to memorialise this time in history, and I think that through the patches you see so many different moments. There's so much to unpick in each one.
My patch is about my grandma. She passed away in February, just before lockdown. She's been kind of like this strong matriarch in our family, and she always had these like two long jet black plaits in her hair. And throughout my whole life, that's been kind of like a very solid symbol of her as a woman.
The patches were made in collaboration with the garment factory worker. Her name is Anita. In India, it's very difficult for women to find space to express themselves. It also depends on the place of your privilege. I felt it was all the more important to hear what she has to say or express creatively. And she even embroidered her name.
Am I allowed to tell my mum to be quiet?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll try not to embarrass my daughter as well.
I found the beginning of lockdown really anxiety inducing, and the one thing that gave me real solace was actually just working with my neighbours and sort of checking in on my neighbours. So I kind of used that as the basis of my sort of inspiration for my patch.
My husband had died, and I'd had a period where I'd come to terms in a way with being on my own. But during isolation, I think because I knew I was isolated, it was more difficult. I had the opportunity to take a lease on a tree at the crematorium, and we chose a flowering cherry. That was my inspiration, really. I thought, do you know what? I shall make a patch and it will be David's tree.
My queer family, I think they're the people that like love me and want the most for me, in that I can talk to them every single day about, you know, the small problems that I have or my goals or what I want, and they're just people that are happy to listen and talk to me about their truth. In lockdown, I think you just noticed absences a lot more because you were with so few people, and absence makes the heart grow stronger, I guess.
Because I have grown up with just my mum, who's white and in a very white town, and I only really met my dad in my 20s, and then he died at Christmas, just gone. So actually when lockdown came in, I was still kind of working out this whole grieving process as well. And part of that felt like trying to honour and trying to wake up to and see and honour my Africanness, because I just haven't seen it all of my life. So doing one of the figures as a darker colour and one definitely white, and the two being in an embrace, that felt quite significant. Also was going on whilst the Black Lives Matter movement was in full swing, which was an incredibly overwhelming experience. It kind of tied everything together that was going on for me at that time. So yeah, I've had it inked onto my arm. I'm really happy with it. I feel like my pals are now on my arm.
I made some mini scrubs that had elastic in the waistband, which actually works. I really wanted to celebrate the craftsmanship that each volunteer brought to scrub making. Some people that were involved in making scrubs had all different backgrounds in craft or fashion, so it was really nice that they could bring a bit of their personality and thanks to the NHS workers through things like embroidery, little things that were inside the scrubs that no one else would know about except from the maker and the person wearing.
The image is of a yellow tiger with a black panther. It's kind of meant to represent my solidarity with Black Lives Matter. So the yellow tiger is me as a East and Southeast Asian woman. And the Black Panther, I guess, is sort of a representation of like the Black community, and just the fact that it's in a circle was meant to represent that it's a never ending fight and that it's a constant learning process every single day.
My patch is about the soothing rise and set of the moon and the sun through the quarantine window at the back of my house. I put a pocket on my patch which represents the things I'd like to keep through this time, like being more connected to my nana. And the button on the pocket represents her, because she taught me to sew and she always used to let me choose treasure or buttons out of her button box when I was little. And finally, the material that I chose to do my patch on is actually traditional Ankara print from my African ceremony at my wedding, and that represents my husband, who I've been in lockdown with.
Quilts are kind of often used as a way to express love and care and offer, I think, some form of protection. We also started a GoFundMe to raise money alongside making patches. The 4 charities we decided were important to donate to were the Trussell Trust, Women's Aid, Fashion Revolution and Black Minds Matter.